Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host. As you know, I've already announced the fact that I am going to be running for president of Metro. Oh, how about that? Make sure you check out your ballots and whatever, and consider voting for me. You know who I am. And for those who are new, hey, it's on YouTube. Check me out. We're talking about information and education. That's what we're doing here, and talking to the people, okay? And as a result of that, by George, we've been interviewing folks that will basically educate you about what's really should be given consideration for, because this is huge nowadays, especially for the state of Oregon, but for the largest county in the district, in the state, if you will, Multnomah County. I mean, this is where it all starts at. And as a result of that, I've been basically chasing things out from the media area aspect of it, and I picked up the copy of the Willamette Week on the voting. It's kind of interesting aspect of it. But guess what? I started looking for a guy by the name of Nigel Jake, and I didn't know what, his name's not even there. He's not even posted as being a part of the organization. I didn't know what was going down. So I contacted the guy who I'd known before for years, and he's been in all kinds of things. And so I said, hey, look, what happened? His name is Steve Buell. Remember the guy named Ron Buell? Well, you saw him the other day. But no, this is his brother. This is Ron Buell. Ron Buell is the one that created this situation, the Willamette Week. He's here with us. Why don't I just let him chat? But we're going to talk about, besides that, we're going to talk about the Willamette Week. We're going to talk a little bit about transportation, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about Metro, okay?
And homelessness.
And homelessness. Hey, here's a guy. Here's a reporter. Let him give you a little background about the whole deal. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. It's great to be on your show, Bruce. And I really appreciate you pointing out Willamette Week and their excellent voters guide.
Yeah.
And he asked, well, how come Nigel Jaquist isn't in Willamette Week he's running their nonprofit, which takes contributions now. It was started as a for-profit organization, and Richard Meeker and Mark Zessman still own it, but they have a nonprofit arm that pays for all of their reporters and editors, and there's about a dozen of them now.
Okay.
And so Nigel Jaquist runs the nonprofit, and it's called the Oregon Journalism Project. And they hire the reporters for Willamette Week. So that's how come Nigel isn't there. He's in their nonprofit arm, not in the original for-profit publication.
Oh, okay. This guy, Publisher Prize and all this, that, and the other. I mean, you generated that situation. You got my point. Natural people are concerned. Is he going to still? Is he still at the table?
So yeah, he had last week, not this issue, but last week he had this great article about the Oregon Education Association, which explained all about the Oregon Education Association and their political power in the state of Oregon. So it's worth going back and picking up last week's and reading that article that Nigel wrote.
Interesting. But then there's the other side of you, so to speak, from a standpoint, with Brother Steve, remember? Steve just wrote an article. It appears in the Oregonian now, but at the same time, he appeared here first, and
That's
he basically exposed the whole piece about education. So check it out on YouTube, okay? Hey, look, Ron, we got several things we want to chat about, but why don't we start off with the whole issue of Metro?
Well, Metro has 4 basic responsibilities. And Metro is responsible for setting the urban growth boundary. And that's a pretty important piece. If you're up in the sky flying in an airplane or you from outer space, you can see that we have an urban growth boundary, and farm and forest land is outside of it and can't be developed. Well, if you want to if you want to buy some of that farmland and try and put houses on it, you got to get Metro's approval to expand it. So planning for the region is a big deal because of the urban growth boundary and keeping our farm and forest land intact. And 1,000 Friends of Oregon has fought for that for years and years and years. So now the second responsibility that Metro has is they have a Greenway program, and they take in a certain amount of tax money and bond money and on bonds that they've passed and buy greenways in the urban area. The third thing that they do is they're the ones that hand out to Multnomah, Clackamas, and Washington counties the homelessness tax, which we can talk about, their responsibility there. But the big one is transportation.
Transportation, okay.
And JPACT, which is the organization that people have to go through to start freeway projects or big highway projects or bicycle trails or what have you.
Bridge project maybe too?
Yeah. And the big bridge project has to go through JPACT, which then if JPACT, which has all these transportation dudes from the state and the cities, and like Portland, and the counties, the 3 counties on JPACT, they decide, okay, we're going to do that Rose Quarter project, or okay, we're going to do this big bridge, and it has to have transit on it. Those kinds of decisions, those are made at JPACT, and then they have to be approved by Metro. So it's a 2-step process to get big projects done in Portland, whether it's transit or whether it's bicycle ways or whether it's the I-5 expansion at the Rose Quarter, or the big bridge across where they're working with Washington across to. So in my estimation, Metro has been failing its transportation responsibilities. They put the bond measure on to run a transit line out to Bridgeport Shopping Center without going up the hill and to Pill Hill, or going to Portland Community College, which was on the way. No connections via light rail to those, but just going to the Bridgeport Shopping Center. And they wanted to go down Barber Boulevard and widen Barber Boulevard, take out 100 businesses, take out 200 housing units, so that they could have 4 lanes down the middle for light rail and 4 lanes outside it. So the voters said no, and they said no resoundingly. The Oregonian didn't support it, and the voters said no. So that was a failure of Metro, Lynn Peterson and Metro. Now they've approved the Rose Quarter project, the reason that they're keeping it alive is they got all these consultants who are getting paid to widen the freeway there and get rid of the traffic jam at the Rose Quarter. Well, they said when they started it was going to be a $450 million project at the Rose Quarter. $450 million. And then the Albina Vision Trust came along and said, we want to put some housing on top of the freeway there, near the Rose Quarter. And so they said okay, and they got a federal grant in addition to the $400 million that Phil Knight gave them. Rakaya and Winta got that federal grant, and that, of course, added another $400 million, but that grant got taken away when Trump came in. So they're sitting there now with having spent all this consulting money, but not having the $2 billion that they say the project's going to cost now. Not having that money. So it's going nowhere, but they're still trying to widen the freeway without widening between underneath the Broadway Bridge. Well, if you put in a new big bridge across the Columbia,
Yes.
then the traffic is going to get worse if you widen it, not less. And that's kind of a rule of thumb. That, you can go to City Observatory and read Joe Courtwright about this Rose Quarter project, and he says the traffic's just going to get worse through the heart of the city. And as you know, the traffic getting worse means there's worse air pollution from the stopping and starting. And you got all those 18-wheeler trucks going right down through the middle of the city. And so the people who live near I-5, they're getting all that air pollution, the dirty diesel. And, I took a little count. I had lunch in Eugene, and I was driving back between 3 and 5 o'clock on the freeway, coming from Eugene to Portland. And I said, I'm going to count all the 18-wheelers going to Eugene from Portland, because you can see the other freeway almost all the way. There's a little quarter-mile section you can't. But I counted 1,153 18-wheelers between Portland going to Eugene. From Portland between 3 and 5 in the afternoon, my drive back, my 2-hour drive back, I counted 1,153 18-wheelers. And so all that freight going south to Corvallis and Albany and Eugene and Salem and beyond is going right through the heart of the city, and all the people who are living on I-405 or I-5 along,
sucking it up.
They're sucking up that air pollution. And according to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Trump hasn't killed the whole thing yet. And the EPA says that in the Portland metro area, which Metro is responsible for, the transportation in, let's say that 450 people die from lung cancer and related heart disease related to lung cancer from the air pollution in this region every year. 450 people. Now that's the United States Environmental Protection Agency counting the people who get lung cancer from the air pollution. And yes, there's some industrial air pollution, but in Portland, the big amount of pollution is from those freeways, I-84, I-5, and the state highway out 26. And so the transportation system is killing 450 people a year. And the worst part of it is right there next to I-5 and the people who live near I-5. And there's a bunch, because as you go out to the north from the downtown section where the Rose Quarter is, you got a lot of people living near the freeway. And so those trucks, and hey, the truckers are they want to make as much profit as they can, and they want to go as fast as they can. So they'd like to have some more lanes through there, and I understand their position, but it's costing us in lives and from the pollution. Now we haven't talked, so I personally don't support the Rose Quarter project because I know that it will increase the congestion. It will not reduce the congestion. You got people going on to I-84. You got people going across the Fremont Bridge or the Markham Bridge, and there's a circle there, I-405 through downtown Portland, and all the people living there. So if they widen that section, it's going to make the pollution worse, not better, because the congestion will increase because of the number of people using that section. And it's a huge, I-5 right through the heart of the city. Now, if you go over to Vancouver, BC, and just take a trip up there, they don't have freeways through the heart of the city. in Vancouver. They've got a transit system that is really something else, and they have people on driving on those busy streets in downtown Vancouver, just like we do. But they don't have freeways that are taking all these trucks from through the heart of Vancouver. And as you look at Vancouver, BC, and Seattle, what is it? A 3-hour drive now to drive to Seattle,
Right.
and another 3 hours to drive up to Vancouver, BC. Well, and it's 2 hours down to Eugene, through Salem, through Albany, kind of a little bit off Corvallis there. But there's 1 million people living in the Willamette Valley south of the Portland urban area. 1 million people. And they're getting a lot of traffic. So it just makes sense for the region and for transportation for a high-speed rail line that would be built from Eugene to Portland to Seattle to Vancouver, BC. And believe me, the people in Seattle, the guy who's at Brad Smith, the head of Microsoft, they want that line to Vancouver, BC, even though it's another 3 hours. And so to connect have you tried to fly to Seattle recently? It's a mess. You have to go through the airport. You got to be an hour early. And then you get to the Seattle airport, and you got to figure out how to get to downtown Seattle. The flying, sure, there's a lot of people flying between Portland and Seattle, and there's a lot of people driving. But if we had a high-speed rail line, so let's talk about how long would it take from Eugene to Portland on a high-speed rail line? The answer to the question is, these are lines that are built in China, in Japan, in Europe. There's 12 different countries that have high-speed rail. They're building a high-speed rail line in California, but it's taken them forever. And in Florida, there's one going up between Orlando and Miami. But let's say we built this line from Eugene to Vancouver, BC. So 37 minutes from Portland to Eugene on high-speed rail. Not 2-hour drive, 37 minutes. Okay, what about from Portland to Seattle? 58 minutes.
Wow.
58 minutes, not 3 hours drive, as long as you're not in rush hour traffic in either location. You can do it in 3 hours and less. The train takes you 3 hours, but the high-speed rail would be 58 minutes from Portland to Seattle. Okay, what about from Seattle to Vancouver, BC? Well, you're talking about a little bit more than an hour.
But a little bit more, that's it.
So you could go from Eugene all the way to Vancouver, BC in 3 hours.
Yep.
In 3 hours.
Wow.
And that's what it takes you to drive to Seattle now. And it takes you 2 hours to drive to Eugene. So high-speed rail, how come our planners have not, our transportation agency, Metro, hasn't gone after high-speed rail?
Exactly.
And instead, they want to build this big bridge across the Columbia. Well, let's talk about the big bridge across the Columbia. I'm not saying high-speed rail is cheap. You're talking about billions of dollars to do a high-speed rail line like they have in Europe, like they have in China, between Shanghai and Beijing now, like they have in Japan. You get one of those high-speed rail lines and you can build it. It's expensive, but man, would it make a difference to the economy of
and
Oregon and the people.
That's important.
Not just the economy, but the people.
The people.
Not just the truckers, but because they can take freight on the line at night when there aren't any passengers.
And there still would be an economy.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying.
You'd be helping food
Jobs.
get where it needs, and you'd be having jobs. And so, I was at a meeting when they were talking about high-speed rail with the transportation consultants and the mayor of Portland, Keith Wilson, was there, and Brad Smith had come from Microsoft because he's a big advocate for this.
Yeah.
He's the CEO at Microsoft, and he's a big advocate for this high-speed rail line. And when they said, well, we got to get the big bridge built first. And I don't see that. I don't see the big bridge because now, what they're saying about the big bridge across the Columbia, and I understand the pilings are wood that go into the two bridges, one in each direction with 3 lanes each. I don't want to tear those down because we've had the problem of building them. Why don't we put some concrete around those wooden pilings?
Yes, right.
We could probably do that for $100 million. That's not that's not 15.5 billion,
Jesus,
which is what they're talking about for the big bridge now. So what's the latest plan from Metro and Tina Kotek and the governor of what's the latest plan for the big bridge? $15.5 billion. And they said, well, we can't get that money together because we ain't going to get any money from Trump. And but we've already got $5 or $6 billion between Washington and Oregon that we can spend on this bridge. So we'll build part of it. We'll build the light rail line across in that they want to build. It ends in the air.
Yeah, right there.
They're 70 feet above.
Right.
So there ain't no light rail line
no light rail
in
line.
what they want to build with the money they have,
Wow.
and the $5 or $6 billion that they have. Well, so
Jesus Christ.
let's look at the big bridge that Jim Howell designed, or the tunnel that some people prefer. Well, the Howell Bridge.
And that was the first bridge they were thinking about, right?
No, I was involved in killing that first bridge, and they were spending $3 billion on that, and that was in 20.
Tina Kotek was one of the lobbyists.
Oh yeah, she was in the legislature, the governor, and she's always been fighting for this big bridge, whether it was $3 billion as it was when we killed it in 2014, and whether it's the part of it that she wants to build now and that Metro is going along with, that will cost $6.8 billion, which they have $6 billion of, and already set aside by Washington and Oregon. Those are taxpayers paying.
Right, taxpayers, and they're spending the money now.
And
they're spending the money now.
They're not talking about how much across this new bridge the tolls would be. They're gonna be like they are on the Bay Bridge in San Francisco. They're gonna be $4 or $5 tolls to go each day. And they'll read your license plate and they'll just bill you. They'll just take it off your credit card
to the people,
to the
majority of the people.
And so, what'll happen with that toll on that new bridge? Let's think about I-205.
205.
Okay, now we got all those people living in east or central Clark County. Who will use I-205 and I-84 instead of going across and paying a $4 or $5 toll. And it'd take an act of Congress to put a toll on the existing bridge.
Yes.
You cannot do that.
That won't happen.
And the studies that they did the first time around, when we killed it in 2014, when it was going to be $3 billion, the studies that they did showed that I-205 would get massively congested because people would be going across it and going down I-84 to the middle of the city rather than using the tolls. And so the congestion would get in total coming from Clark County to Portland. And of course what they've done is they've assumed that the traffic was going to continue to increase as the population increased here. And the population ain't increasing here.
It ain't increasing.
And so what's happening is they want to spend this $6.8 billion now and leave the transit line in midair. And then they've done an environmental impact statement.
Jeez.
And the environmental impact statement for the 6.8 billion piece, the partial build of it, doesn't widen the 5 intersections that they would widen in the $15.5 billion project. So they took out those 5 intersections. They didn't get the light rail all the way there. What they would spend now would just be to tear down the existing bridges and put up this new big 10 lane, 12 lane, whatever. You know, they lied about it back in 2014. They said it was going to be only 10 lanes, but they planned for 12, and they built it for 12. They were going to build it for 12 if they got to build it. But so ODOT. Now, this all takes us back to ODOT and Tina.
Yep.
Because
Tina Kotek, she was there.
She is the one who fought through getting it through the House. The previous 2014, it passed the House, and then Peter Courtney and Michael Dembro and Chip Shields and Betsy Johnson killed it in the Senate in 2014 in committee. I remember it because I was there in committee testifying. And they killed that big bridge at that time because they didn't think that you should tear down the old bridges. They were... People have said, well, wait, Howe's design, Jim Howe's design. Jim Howe was the... Jim Howell, he was the transportation secretary for, director of transportation for TriMet. And he did a grid plan for Portland that
He was on the show, Voters Digest.
Yes.
He was on the show. In fact, you can look it up. It's on the history.
He's passed away now. But,
wow.
But he did this design of a bridge.
Yes, he did.
And it was a low-profile bridge.
Yep.
And it had what's called a bascule opening that goes to the sky.
Right.
And so that the big ships could still go through.
Exactly.
But it was low profile, and it took, you know how now if you're coming down from Seattle and you get to the Columbia and you kind of veer off and you go across the bridge on the two bridges on the Columbia.
Right.
You go across the one that's going south. And well, what he said is, let's leave those intact for local transportation and for light rail. Okay, leave them intact and use one for light rail and use the other for two-way local transportation between Hayden Island and downtown Vancouver. And so then you don't have the big bridge 6 stories high as it goes through downtown Vancouver, really trashing downtown Vancouver.
Oh, yeah, big time. All that development would have been gone.
So you don't have that. You have Howell's Bridge, and Howell's Bridge runs just to the east of the existing bridge, and it's low profile. So this was 2014, so it's probably doubled since then.
Oh, yeah.
And so instead of $1 billion for his bridge, with the bascule opening,
Maybe
it would have been. It's probably $2 billion now.
Right.
Okay, but we have $6 billion.
Right.
And so if you put concrete around the wooden pilings and you build Howell's low-profile bridge with the bascule opening for big ships, and then you build it just to the east of the existing bridges, it takes out the motel there. What's it called? You know the one there on Hayden Island.
Yes,
It's not the Thunderbird. It's anyway. His plan probably about $2 billion instead of $6.8 billion.
Jesus Christ.
And then Courtright doesn't favor Howell's plan. He favors a tunnel that would be less expensive than the $6 billion by a significant amount, and leaving the current bridges intact and putting concrete around their wooden pilings. So, people are saying, well, there's going to be the big one, the earthquake, right?
Yep.
Well, The thing is, if you put some concrete around those wooden pilings,
Yeah.
it ain't coming
It's
down.
not coming down. Not coming
And
down.
if we
No.
had the big one now,
Oh, we
it,
do.
those bridges would be gone.
Yes.
And I understand if you lived in Vancouver, that's not a good thing.
No, no, no. And the taxpayers picking up the big deal. See?
And I-205 is not coming down in the big one.
Oh my God.
So you got a real mess on I-205 if the big one hits and knocks out those bridges. But you could build the new one so it was safe in a 9 earthquake. And you're still like $2 billion or maybe a little bit more than that, maybe for house design. And the tunnel is probably in the $4 billion
Right.
network. And you leave the existing bridges, but you put concrete around the pilings. And so you're not taking them down. You have all that expense. And they say, oh, well, you know, what happens? You get the new one built before you take the old ones down? No, that's not the plan.
No.
The plan is that they move the traffic over to one of the others in two-way traffic, you ask ODOT how long would that construction take, and it's going to be not just months, it's probably going to be years that you're using that one
And
bridge.
housing and this, that, and the other moved, wiped out.
And the funny thing is, so if you look at their FEIS that they put forward for this new $6.8 billion project, it doesn't change the interchanges. It just builds the bridge, and it doesn't finish the light rail. And Metro has said you got to have transit if you're going to do this bridge, which I agree with.
Yeah, okay.
But you know, the point is the FEIS,
Which means
you need to have an environmental impact statement.
okay.
A federal environmental impact statement to get federal money to build the bridge.
Right.
And most of what they have in that 5 or 6 billion is from the feds, most of it. Well, you know, here's the problem. The problem is ODOT doesn't have a track record, and neither does WashDOT, because you remember when they were trying to tunnel up in Seattle, and they got the burrowing instrument stuck in Seattle. So, Bruce, here's the thing. ODOT has not had a big project come in on time and under budget in my lifetime.
Wow.
Not in my lifetime. So they want you to pay a little bit now, and then pay a little bit more later, and then pay a little bit more later. And so they want to build this 15.5 monstrosity. I want to talk about the fact that we don't need the monstrosity. A, B, you can't do an FEIS that's based on having the transit in it if you're not going to build the transit all the way. So the project will not legally qualify. It will be challenged legally. You know that.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you know it will be challenged legally. Well, if you've got your FEIS as if you have transit, but you're not going to have transit in the project, they're not going to be able to build the 6.8 billion because the FEIS won't pass legally. So Joe Courtwright has written this magnificent piece, and I recommend everybody go online to www.cityobservatory.
Okay.
And he's written 8 reasons why they cannot do the 6.8 billion thing that they're talking about doing without the 5 interchanges and without the transit being complete. And so the funny thing is that we need to talk a little bit about consultants, Bruce. And you know the consulting biz, how it works. So the first time around in 2014, they spent $200 million on consultants.
That's right.
And got the design that we were able to say didn't cut it, okay, and was killed in the Washington State Legislature and was killed in the Oregon State Legislature in the Senate, not the House,
Yes.
where Tina was running the House, and she got it through the House, but it couldn't get it through the Senate.
And she became a consultant too, by the way.
Well,
I met her. I met her at Norma's Kitchen.
well, yeah.
I hate to put it that way, but I want to make sure that we
Well, how much did we spend on consultants the first time around?
Oh,
$200 million.
that's what I'm saying. Yes, right, okay.
So now we have a new design.
this is a new design.
A new design
Now,
for the
yeah.
15.5 billion.
Okay.
So
okay.
how much
Give
did
us-
we spend on
on consultants
consultants? How
much?
Try 300 million.
300 million.
And it's the same design. They say they admit it's the
Come
same
on.
one that we had designed earlier.
300 million.
And okay, the figure that they came out with was 268 million, but they still are spending money. Okay, and then that was a year ago. 268 million to the consultants. Okay, now, you know the big consulting firm in that was in charge of this program out of Seattle. I want to say WPS or WSP. Which is it? I'm having a slight.
Right, no problem.
It's either WPS or
I'm glad to hear it
WSP,
now.
and they're the big ones out of Seattle, and they were running the design, the consultant design of the theoretically new bridge. 168 million of the 268 million to WSP. Wow. 168 million to do the same design that we did, and they already had it. Now, I mean, and they're the ones that saying we have to do this big bridge, and they've convinced Tina of that before we can do anything on high-speed rail. You know, they're the ones who are saying, you know, we put off the high-speed rail until after we've got the commitment to do this big bridge across the river, and here we are with two perfectly good designs for a tunnel, and for Howell's with the vascular opening.
Well, Ron, think about this now, and then that's one of the reasons why I'm running. Okay, I mean, the way I look at the group, can the group that we're looking at right now, that's sitting there right now, can they perform? Are they going to be at the count of this? That's not what I see.
No,
I don't see them doing this. And in all due respect, I learned this as a result of filing. Otherwise, had I not filed, I would not have had this information.
They have to do the big bridge and approve it. They have to. It's not going forward unless
but they've got
it goes
the
through
political. They got the political group all laid out. The guy, when I look at the guy who's running, with $180,000 worth of support. And look at all the politicians, including
the construction companies and the truckers.
You got Keith Wilson. You got
Wyden and Merkley.
Wyden and Merkley. They've all supporting this situation.
Because they see we need to do something about the existing bridge, and because what happened if we got a big earthquake? It's down, and everybody agrees with that. But the question is, what do we do, and who do you pay? Sure, if I'm a trucker, I don't like this I-5 freeway when it narrows way down.
Right.
Because my trucks take
diesel.
longer to get there. And if I'm a construction company, I'm Associated General Contractors, and I have the lobbyists in Tina's ear, and she's running for governor again, and she's supported this thing all the way.
Up the money to the taxpayer, to the people.
I mean,
it's going to be huge. No wonder people can't live here.
I mean,
cost of living.
And you know that since COVID,
yes,
people have in Vancouver have decided they're going to work at home.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
They don't have to pay Oregon's income tax that way.
Jesus.
Even if they're working for an Oregon company.
Right.
They can work at home. They're not having to go across the bridge every day in that traffic. So here's the catch. You know, the projections for the big new bridge, the 6.8 billion that they want to do part way, all the way for the highway and part way for the transit. Well, the traffic has fallen every year because of people working at home.
That's right.
And avoiding the Oregon income taxes.
Right.
And so they're not, the traffic across the bridge is actually at the same level that it was in 1990. 127,000 is the actual traffic count daily on the bridge. Well, they've been saying it's going to go up 1% a year. And so by that, what they put in the FEIS is 145,000. Well, that's it's not what's
going to decrease.
And yeah, some people are saying, oh well, people move across the river and when they get wealthy to avoid the Oregon income tax. Well, if they're working in Oregon, they can't do that.
Right.
But if they're working from home,
yes, oh yeah.
or if they're retiring,
right,
and they've sold their company,
right.
then they just move across to Vancouver, and I guess it's several hundred people a year who are doing that, moving to Vancouver from Portland.
Right.
But I think it's like the Portland. The best journalism in town, the business, the Portland Business Journal.
Well, check this out. Before we go any further, we got about 15 more minutes, and when I want to spend a little time on on homelessness.
Oh, yeah.
And then when we're going to talk about that piece, but I'm sharing with the public today. In all due respect, that's one of the reasons I'm running. We need to have more discussion on this, and the way this thing is set up, the same group is going to be in charge. If you understand indirectly. And the guy, and I'm saying that the chair, in all due respect, didn't have the background. My point is that we need to have more discussion on this issue.
That it needs to be the council that does it, and the chair has to lead it.
They have to lead the piece, and so consequently, we need a runoff. That's where I'm coming from.
Well, see,
so we can have more of a discussion on this issue.
Yeah, and Bruce, I talked to Juan Carlos Gonzalez.
Yes.
And he's a good guy.
Yeah.
There's nothing. He's not a cheater. He's not a liar. And I said, this whole subject's got to have a fresh start. And I pointed out City Observatory to him. And you read that article, the recent one by Joe Courtwright about the 8 reasons they can't go ahead on the big new bridge, and it all needs a fresh start. And so that's why I'm here. It's because I like you, and I don't dislike Juan Carlos Gonzalez, but he's got to stop this and say, we need to have a fresh start here on this thing, a brand new start. Aren't we better off to do a tunnel or to do the Jim Howe bascule opening, low bridge, not 216 feet high, which of course the big companies up the river who want to bring their parts won't be able to bring their parts. They're going to have to move their business to the other side of that bridge, and that's big. Doing that is a couple $100 million. For them they're going to get paid
relocate to get paid to get reload.
That's
who picks up the tab again?
The taxpayers.
The people again.
The people,
not the business in many ways. That's a bulk. And don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-business.
Right, I know you're not.
But the fact of the matter is, the people are going to be carrying the bulk of this stuff.
Well, let's talk about homelessness before we get.
Yes, but we're going to do another show. No, I'm just saying. But my point is that the idea is to get this show out, and then hopefully invite the Carlos and those folks like that, if you will.
Yeah, get Carlos here and have him talk about it.
I've reached out to him.
Because I know he'll say, Bruce, this thing's got to have a fresh start. We got to look at it.
Yes, help him out.
Help him out.
This program will help him out to a certain degree.
Exactly.
Then he can go back to those supporters and tell these supporters.
The reason I'm here is your candidacy will help it out.
Well,
and it's not that I think you're going to beat him.
Oh no,
but you can get the discussion going, man, and that's important. Yeah,
I'm speaking for that
exactly.
taxpayer, the people.
Exactly.
And I understand that I'm sitting for the business. I'm for the business aspect of it, but they're gonna have to rethink this piece and share with the people who's picking up the tab.
Yes.
How they're going to be beneficiaries?
Yeah.
Because they're not.
And
They're
the
being
big
moved
problem is going to be ODOT, who has.
Oh, excuse me about that. That must be him there. No, that's not him. Keep going. Sorry about that.
No
Go
problem. The big problem here is ODOT.
Yeah.
How many employees at ODOT?
Oh, wow.
Over 5,000.
Yep.
Who do they report to?
Tina Kotek.
Tina Kotek is.
That's right.
Who is going for all this money in the transportation budget while they're spending $268 million on consultants? I mean, she's there fighting for more money for ODOT when they can't deliver on time or under budget, and they got over 5,000 employees, most of them engineers, and and the union is there dumping money into her campaign, and the members at ODOT are the union folks, and so.
I noticed that was another supporter of this whole piece. They're part of the.
So the problem is ODOT, but let's talk about homelessness.
About the homeless, yeah.
Because what's the number one problem for the city of Portland or Multnomah County? Homelessness and addiction, and there's a three-part homelessness problem that we're facing here in Portland. One of them is the significantly mentally ill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and over 10% of the 8,000 people who are living on the street, that's more than 800, are significantly mentally ill.
Yeah.
They have, maybe they're bipolar, maybe they have paranoid schizophrenia, and they've just come out of prison, and they got 40 of them sitting in the state hospital now because they don't have a place to put them. Yeah. The number of residential treatment facilities, they've all got a waiting list. And you know what? Cascadia Behavioral Health, they've got 15 of these residential treatment facilities, and Eric Sevos, their planner, said if they had the money, they could build another 10 of them. Well, and you go to the Unity Center where you can walk in and you have a bed. You can only be there for 6 months, and then you have to leave. And so that 10% is a real problem, and we are not planning to have more residential treatment facilities, and we need them bad, and we need some of them, to be secure.
Yep.
To be secure. And so what's the other portion? A second portion of people. It's mothers and fathers, or just mothers with kids in their vehicles, and maybe they've got a trailer, and maybe they've got just a vehicle, just a car, and they're driving around, and the kids are going from school to school. So if you talk to Portland Public Schools or to the East Multnomah County school districts, I'm talking David Douglas, I'm talking Centennial, I'm talking Reynolds, I'm talking Gresham. You talk to the East County school districts and you say, okay, how many students you got who are in vehicles? And maybe they're in one school this week, and next month they're in another school because they moved the vehicle. So we're talking, I'm going to guess 2,000 of these mothers and fathers, or just mothers, with the children in the vehicles, okay? And maybe they've got a trailer, but maybe they don't have a trailer. Maybe it's just an SUV or one of those big bus type things, so the third group you're familiar with, and so am I, and that's the addicted.
Yep. Oh.
So I've been living up until yesterday when we moved on Northeast 13.
Yes.
And I go across the street to the Safeway parking lot on Friday and Saturday, Friday and Saturday night. At the Safeway parking lot, you can buy a lot of drugs right there, out of vehicles, right there. Or if you want to go to the bottle drop and watch all the drug dealers on Friday and Saturday night selling their drugs, you can go to the bottle drop, and we know where the hot spots are, and here you've got the Public Housing Authority, which recently paid the woman $170,000 to leave her job.
That's
after
City of Portland. That's Keith.
Well, he's got no.
Oh, he doesn't count anything about the county?
It's federal.
Feds
it's
or the feds? Yeah.
The Public Housing Authority, but the mayor can appoint 3 people to the board.
Yeah.
And they got how many empty units? Now, I could look out from the place I moved from, I could look out my back window to Grace Peck, where they spent $3 million refurbishing it in the last year, and they were there every day for nearly a year, from 9 to 5, working on that building. So it's not as if, and that woman who's been traveling all over, Foster, who they just fired. I mean, they have 1,900 units that are open.
Jesus.
1,900 that are open. Now, if we had a project,
right,
and it had case managers, and we were sorting through the people who are addicted. Now, you and I know, we believe in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I know the Loyola Group, Bruce. The Loyola Group. The Loyola Group has 400 people. They meet every Monday night at 7 p.m., and you can go to the building in Southwest Portland where they meet. And the Loyola Group has an average sobriety of those 400 people of over 15 years. Over 15 years average sobriety. Now, most of them were alcoholics, and we got 100 to 200 people dying from addiction on the street every year. So they got out in time. And so if we had enough case managers in this project, we could focus first on those kids living with the mothers in the vehicles. And we could focus second on the significantly mentally ill and having enough residential treatment facilities. Cascadia Behavioral Health could open 10. And so how much money have we spent through Metro in the last 5 years? Well, I got to tell you how much it's been. It's been $200 million a year through Metro in Multnomah County. $200 million a year for 5 years. That's $1 billion.
Yes.
And have we made a dent?
No.
We have not made a real dent. Congratulations to Keith. He got people into shelters off the street. But they leave those shelters, and what do they do? They're out there looking for drugs.
Throw them out in the morning.
I drive down to through the Steel Bridge and come across on Gleason there, and then I turn left, and I drive from Gleason to Burnside. Well, we saw 3 drug deals, one trip, Gleason to Burnside, going down. Now there's people with plastic bags handing them to other people. Right. 3 in one trip. And that's in downtown Portland, northwest Portland, before he got to Burnside. So yeah, Keith's got them shelters up, but he isn't. We need a project that spends that $200 million for the next 5 years, where it deserves to be spent, which is on these facilities and services that we need to be providing.
Well, in all due respect to Keith, I supported Keith when he first ran. I had him here on the show. I was somewhat impressed.
I voted for him.
Yeah, I thought he had some background, if you will, because he said he'd put
He'd
this
run a
organization
business.
together, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in all due respect, he didn't have that background. Not the community's background
Well,
with the people. You understand what I'm saying?
he has a certain set of values that
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
say are
yeah.
Portland values.
Yeah, yes.
And I
Born
like,
in- born in
and you
North
and I
Portland?
both like Keith,
Yeah,
Keith
yeah.
Wilson.
Yeah, I like
but
it.
what he hasn't done is he hasn't gotten it together with the county.
Yeah.
And here we got
Oh, that's true.
Jessica Vega Peterson,
Oh.
who's not there for the last 9 months of her term, and we're going to get Shannon Singleton or
Yes.
Julia Brim Edwards.
Julia's going to probably do it. They're not going to get no thing done. I think Julia's going to be there.
Well,
And then Mr. Green's going to be there. He's transferring this from the Portland School District, the one who picked up a couple. He's running for district number 2. I mean, and then I've invited these folks to come here.
these are soluble problems, Bruce.
Yes, they are.
And Metro
Yes.
passes the money out to the counties.
yes.
Why isn't it evaluating where
Yes,
that money is
yes,
going
yes.
and saying, okay, Multnomah County, I don't like the way you're spending this money. You got all these employees.
Well, we're dealing with it right now. Tell them, you're part of this county. You're part of district number 2.
Yeah.
That's why we're talking about it. I'm part of district number 2. I've ran here twice before to try to talk to the issues. Mine is an educational, informational kind of a program.
Well,
But by George, it's sad. What about our media? What about our media, Ron? I mean, you've been in this business.
the Oregonian in 2005, the Oregonian had 450 people in the newsroom. Wow. 450.
2005.
Yeah, now that's 21 years ago.
Yes.
But how many do they have now? It's under 50 that are real reporters and editors. And so they can't really do the job that we used to have done.
No.
And so Willamette Week and OPB and yes, the Mercury are
something.
they're doing something. And I like Lillian Hughes and Shane Dixon Kavanaugh and what they've been doing, and Maxine Bernstein is wonderful in the Oregonian. So you can't just go like this to
Right.
the Oregonian.
And they've been around.
But how long are they going to last? Newhouse is closing down. They closed down the New Orleans Times-Picayune. They closed down the 2 New Jersey newspapers that Sam Newhouse started this chain with, and I don't think the Oregonian. I'm not sure that Laura Gunderson, who I like and admire, that I don't think Laura Gunderson is going to be around running the paper for 5 years from now. And so what you're doing here of educating and informing people, it's God's work. And so you got to keep it up, Bruce. You got to keep your show going. You got to.
We're going to keep it up. we're about 20 seconds now. We have to close at this point in time. But guess what? He's going to be back because, in all due respect, we are going to put this piece in terms of trying to educate the folks right now. There are good people out there, too, to a certain degree. But the people need to get involved. Make sure if you're voting, you look at the show. Check it out, okay? But he'll be back, okay? We'll see you next week. Take care.